Jemele Hill is going to join us now. And Jemele, I insist that we find the funny in this conversation, the stupid, the silly, the nonsense in this conversation, because I was explaining before you came on here just the wearying stupidity of having any kind of discussion about whether Jackie Robinson was black or I don't even know what the discussion is, honestly, or what the conversation points are that allow us to jump from Jackie Robinson to DEI and then just have the same arguments that we've been having for the last 10 years publicly and privately and longer than that. So thank you for joining us. But what's the fun? What's the funny in here? What's the part that you don't find dispiriting and you just say to yourself, okay, media members are fighting in the wrong way?
I guess probably the most, the funniest part to me was Stephen A. Smith, who I live for when he challenges people live on national television to some kind of confrontation, be it, I wouldn't necessarily say a fist fight, but like when he challenged Kevin Durant, like, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. Or this time around when it came to J.D. Vance, the vice president, and Donald Trump, and all of a sudden Stephen A. Smith is like, come on my show and tell me, explain yourself. And I was like, yes, Stephen A., more debate duels. Let's go full wrestling. That was the part that I found to be highly, highly entertaining. It's like, yes, forget about how we used to have celebrity boxing. Let's just have debate duel offs all the time for the soul of humanity. Let's do this. I'm in.
The funniest thing I found from this entire situation was Robert Griffin III getting dunked on. That's it. Just him getting dunked on.
Was that funny, Roy, or was that sad? Because I found that to be sad.
I could find the funny and the sad in that situation. I thought it was highly hilarious that his take was that dumb. So obviously get dunked on that one.
Well, I was more, I guess, of all the characters, like whenever these debates ensue, right, you have the usual cast of characters that you expect to be involved in some of these debates. RG3 was not one that I had on the bingo card. That him just coming out of nowhere being like, oh, I long and pine for the days when all of sports talk was just about sports and never about politics. And it was like, what? Where did that come from? So it was more the presence and the oddity of his presence in this debate that I found to be kind of strange, if you will.
No, I totally expected that the fat black guy with the silly-ass fedora would say something about it, but he did not. I was really shocked about it.
Well, see, if that would have happened, Roy, I would have been like, okay, this tracks. This is on brand, right? But, like, you don't expect RG3 to, come out of somewhere with a what he considered to be in his mind. And maybe this is sort of the dispiriting part, is that in his mind, you could tell when he when he let off his opinions, that he actually thought he was giving some kind of nuanced intellectual take that was somehow missed in all these years in which we have dissected, embraced, celebrated Jackie Robinson's legacy. Here comes RG3 with something we've never thought about before, or something that is so unique to this discussion that he needed to tell the world that no, Jackie Robinson wasn't in Major League Baseball. It had nothing to do with politics, nothing at all. It had everything to do with the fact that he was just there as just a great player, and that's it, and just completely just whitewashing the entire context of why this was so meaningful in American politics and American life, period.
I'm curious, Jemele, of your perspective on this. We came up with Stephen A. Smith, and I love the wrestling characters in media and the evolution of what it is that we have done. But it wasn't always wrestling characters, and he has become rewarded through the way that he is on television, the modern Howard Cosell, and one of the most stunning stories in the history of media to go from not needed at ESPN and let go by ESPN to running ESPN. So the wrestling character of it gets rewarded, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and I don't mean to make it sound as if Stephen A. is at home, sort of figuring out what should my character say today. Like, I don't want to insult him by, I'm just sort of politely making fun of the whole kind of theater of it. Because Stephen A. does understand the performance element of television. And because he understands that performance element, and because he does it so well in a way that is very unique to him, and in a way no one else in the industry can actually do it, that it is able to evoke reaction. We live in an attention economy, Dan, as you know, and he's able to create a tornado of attention with everything that he says. And for a media company like ESPN, this is extremely valuable. It's why he got the big contract. His roots are in journalism, and for a long time, he was a very good and one of the best, if not the best, NBA reporter that was out there. But I think he's tapped into something that is easily monetized. So when it's not just, this reporter saying something, it's Stephen A. Smith, the weight of his name is bringing something extra to any discussion that he is in. I just find it really more fascinating, the political turn that he's making while still being at ESPN and still representing ESPN, because as you know, that is not something that is naturally embraced by this company. And so I think seeing his dramatic turn into politics is really quite stunning given the breadth of his career.
To call it a wrestling character does diminish it, because it is just knowing the value of performance on television. But when you say you find that part of it interesting, what is most interesting about it to you? Not just the ESPN part, just the slalom course that Stephen A. has to ride in increasing audience between Fox and ESPN, because he's using both platforms for his own gain.
So that's the part that I do find to be interesting, is that he is embraced in a way in conservative circles that you don't often see by people in his position. Now, some of that is just based off some of the opinions that he shared about, things that he said about the Democratic Party and being very critical of them, which naturally will get you embraced by conservative circles. But very few people can vacillate between two wildly different networks. ESPN is not a political network at all. Fox is the most conservative, or maybe they're not the most conservative, because you do have Newsmax and you also have OWN, but they're at the top of the food chain, certainly when it comes to conservative networks. It's the value pinging that is very interesting to me, to see him going back and forth between these two circles. And at least from, I think I read this some time ago, like he's doing some kind of live event with like Chris Cuomo. So I just wonder where all of this is going. And so it'll be fascinating to see the arc of his career. I think, and this is just based off things that he said publicly, I think his ultimate goal is to be the number one media mogul in all of television, and as a personality, while maintaining, obviously working on some projects that give him ownership over things, of course. But I think his goal is just kind of media world domination. So we're seeing this unfold in real time, and it's really quite a masterclass into how, if you can drill into the performance part of this, what lay ahead for you. Because the thing with me is that while certainly I'm comfortable on TV, comfortable in formats like this, and virtually any format, at some point, I can't perform. This is what you get, and this is all there is. So I can't every day sort of create this level of enthusiasm and fight and all these other things to sort of sell the natural opinion that I have. That's just not a talent that I have. And he has that talent to such a incredible degree that I guess the downside of it is that I feel I worry that for younger journalists, that this is becoming sort of like a Steph Curry effect, in the sense that Steph Curry started, shooting these logo threes and shooting these completely ridiculous and banana shots. And now every NBA player thinks that they can do that, or young kids coming up, learning how to play basketball, that, they're firing off 60-footers thinking like this is how you play the game, not realizing that talent is reserved to one player who can do that. And so I guess my larger concern is that and I don't mean to make it sound like it's a bad thing, like he's negatively influencing younger journalists, but I know a lot of them are watching him and thinking, I can do that very same thing. And so right now they're drilling into persona as opposed to work. So that's sort of like the long-term 64,000 foot view that I'm a little bit more concerned about.
Jemele, I'm not sure if you saw over the weekend, but it's like not a huge story just because not that many people care about it, but they had like a producer from SportsCenter that got caught kind of ripping Stephen A little bit, saying that they bring him on to SportsCenter just to like get this reaction, and even said like they just bring him on to be the angry black man. He doesn't actually care about these things. Then he goes on Fox News and he talks about Gaza. What does he know about Gaza? He was talking about LeBron 2 hours ago. What do you make of that? I mean, because it's a weird situation where this producer was taped. I don't know if this was on a date or like a social outing, and it was kind of like set up, right? And
Well,
I don't know what state this was in. Like,
is this another, though? There's been this gotcha journalism that isn't journalism, of going out on dates and all of a sudden just recording people and, embarrassing them. Like, this has been a journalistic lane recently, has it not?
It has. It's a sucker move. And wait, maybe I need to retract everything I said. This is actually my favorite story from the last couple of days. Because, okay, there's so many things with this story. Like, one, you have this producer who, as you mentioned, may or may not have been on the date. Like, I don't know how much people have listened to this, but if you haven't, I encourage you to listen to it. It literally sounds like that they're on a podcast. I mean, the sound quality is so crisp. I'm like, was my man wearing a lavalier? Like, why is this sound quality so good? And the other thing too, I mean, I agree with you, Dan. Like, this is ultimately despicable. Like, regardless, a lot of people are caught up in what this producer said and how he characterizes Stephen A. Smith and more or less how people view him at ESPN. Like, to me, that's like irrelevant. The relevant part of this is that you could be in a social setting, and if you work at ESPN, wind up being taped and then somebody else giving that to the media. But it also kind of reminds me of a rule I used to have when I was dating. And, long time ago, when I was a single woman out here in the wild of dating, I had a rule that if I was on a date with somebody or in that kind of initial interaction where it's like, okay, this guy's cute, there's some level of flirting that's going on. If they asked me about Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless, immediately that dude was canceled. Immediately. Like, no, I don't want anything to do with you, because there is nothing more unsexy and unflattering than when you're talking to, somebody who's a potential love interest and you're like, oh yeah, so what are your hobbies? What are you, trying to get to know them? And they're like, so what's Stephen A. Smith like? I'm like, do you want to be on a date with Stephen A. Smith? Because this is doing nothing for me. Like, whatever arousal point that I had in this conversation just immediately went to negative. So it kind of reminded me of that rule that I used to have when I was dating. Like, who does that?
Can we play Douche or No Douche with her, please? I'd like to transition out of. I do find all of that interesting because it really is a story unlike any other. And Jemele, you and I, there's a sort of inevitability in, if we're talking about some of the stuff that we were trying to push along at ESPN, with great gratitude for ESPN deciding, for no good reason at all, to become a journalistic company, or decide that they wanted to try and mix sports and difficult things to cover in sports and try and do it journalistically. The fascination I have with the evolution of everything Stephen A. into somebody who could have a better presidential Q rating than Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama because he's famous.
Do you believe that, Dan? Like, seriously? I don't believe it. I personally don't. Like, I really do not believe that's true.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening that I don't believe it's true, and maybe and perhaps the polling and the numbers aren't accurate, but I have read that the polling suggests that he would be like the fourth best betting favorite as a Democratic Party representative.
I do not believe this. I have to say, like, listen, I realize right now if we did a tournament of top, dumbest times in America to have lived through, I truly realize we're in a time where this could be a number one seed. I get it. But I refuse to believe that the average person out here would look at Stephen A. Smith and say, of all the candidates that are possible in the Democratic Party, that this one is the fourth most viable that they have. And I don't believe. I know that I'm probably going to regret saying this. I don't, and this is, again, no reflection of Stephen A. Smith. I don't believe America's that stupid.
What if you were asked
despite the fact
that on a
What?
date, not the question about tell me about Stephen A. Smith, but it was like, would you vote for Stephen A. Smith? Do you think he'd be a good president? Does that then automatically cancel the person on your date
That's
with?
a good
or is that kind of like a
conversation.
gray
That's a
area?
better conversation.
You know what? That's actually to my single ladies out there. That might be the one. Because we hear all these reports that one of the reasons, or you want to talk about things whether or not you believe or don't believe, but one of the things that's messing up the dating game is that like a lot of men who have expressed support for Donald Trump is turning off the ladies. Okay. And so that this is part of the reasons that social scientists and experts say that men are living in the loneliest time that they've ever experienced, because a lot of women are choosing to stay single. One of the top reasons is our political beliefs, the differences, especially among college educated women. And so maybe that is now the ultimate dating test. Would you vote for Stephen A. Smith? And whatever the answer is, ladies, you can decide if you found your man or not found your man.
Dan, fourth best odds, Stephen A. Yeah, sprinkle a little something on that.
Sprinkle definitely a little something on that.
Sprinkle a little something.
Tony and Zaz say that that debate that you wish for, Jemele, would be Super Bowl numbers, they say.
Between Stephen A. and Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, I can believe that. I can believe that. I would believe that. I would sprinkle something on that.
Would you pay for it? Would you pay $5 for it?
I got 5 on it.
God, I'm gonna hate myself.
You know you're gonna do it. You're gonna call the girls over and have a watch party. Come on now. Come on now.
I am disgusted with myself in this moment.
So $5.
Yes,
okay.
I would pay $5.
Okay, all right.
Donald Trump and Stephen A. debate. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I would pay $5 for that. I did not want. If the Mike Tyson fight with Jake Paul had you had to pay for it. I mean, I already
that
had
was Netflix.
or whatever.
You paid $9.99 a month for it, but whatever.
Right. I already paid for it. But if that were available to pay for in the traditional pay-per-view model, I would have never paid for that.
But Stephen A. versus
put
Trump.
Stephen A. Smith versus Donald Trump, I would pay for that. I might even pay $10 for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Can I get you 20? Can I get you
$20?
Yeah, can I get you 20? You invite the girls over. Everybody splits 5. You bring a couple bottles of wine. You get on the charcuterie board.
If you're gonna pay 10, you can pay 10. You can pay 15, Jemele.
You can pay 20.
Pay 15. Got to 20. You
All
can
right,
pay 15.
$19.99.
Okay,
Wow.
sold.
$19.99 is as high as I go.
Sold.
$19.99 is as high as I go.
Wow.
I'm not going past that.
How about a loser leaves town game? Would you pay 50 for
wow.
that? Would you pay 50 for that?
Oh.
Loser leaves
See, now
town
you put
game.
stakes in it.
$49.99.
$49.99 for a
Loser leaves
loser
town
leaves
game.
town game. I mean, for the possibility of getting rid of Donald Trump.
$49.99.
I mean, I'd pay $50
All right.
if it's
There
a
it
possibility
is.
of
You're a hell of a salesman,
I
Tony.
paid.
Look at America
I know.
coming together. Everybody's coming together.
$49.99. Loser leaves town game,
Yes,
though.
as Jeremy has the appropriate reaction.
$65, and the loser has to shave their head.
Wow, okay.
All right, let's play douche or no douche here. Leaving stickers on your flat brim hat. Douche or no douche?
leaving stickers on your flat. I'm gonna say no douche. No douche.
Morning routine videos on social media.
I'm gonna say douche because that's just like way too attention seeking. Like I don't care that much about what you're doing in the morning.
Speaking of which, bathroom selfies.
Oh, that is, you know what? That's no douche because I think that's just kind of sad. Like I don't think you're a jerk for doing that. I just think you probably haven't quite evolved yet. Like those things should be out.
I think a bathroom selfie's okay. That's because you looked in the mirror and you liked what you saw, and that's such a nice thing that you could feel confident about yourself and go, you know what? I'm going to take a selfie in this mirror, and I'm going to show the world that I feel good about myself. I think a bathroom
nobody
selfie's
wants
good.
to see the legs sticking out of the stall.
That's
behind
fair.
You. Nobody wants to see that. Right. Yeah. You got to think of the aesthetic. Okay.
Solo bathroom. Okay.
Driving a cyber truck. Douche or no douche?
You're a douche. And I live in LA, so you imagine how many that I see on a daily basis. There's also a Tesla dealership that's walking distance to me. No one's vandalized anything, by the way, in case anyone cares.
Jemele, nice seeing you. Thank you for being on with us. It's always good seeing you.
Now I gotta go and feel bad for myself the rest of the day because you guys got me to admit that I would pay to
$50.
see Donald Trump debate Stephen A. Smith.
You think that's the part that's going to be aggregated? You know good and well that's
Right, my guy.
you know good and well that ain't the part that's going to get you.
I know. Bye.
Jeremy, what do you have to update there?
Yeah, I really hate to put a damper on this one for you guys, but according to McLaughlin and Associates, in January of 2005, they did a poll thinking ahead to the 2025. Thinking ahead to the 2028 Democratic primary election for president. If that election were held today, among the following candidates, whom would you vote for? So, in terms of percentages, Kamala Harris had 33, Pete Buttigieg had 9, Gavin Newsom had 7, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had 6, Josh Shapiro, Tim Walz, Gretchen Whitmer, and Amy Klobuchar all had 3, Stephen A. Smith down at 2. So, not going to happen.
If we get even
Ninth,
better
I
odds
believe.
now. Even better odds. You sprinkle a little bit more, it goes a long way.
I would do anything to not have Stephen A. Smith be the president.
Anything.
Except for Donald Trump being the president.
Anything.
So I guess I'd rather him than Donald Trump, but he's a Republican. I don't want him
Seems like
running for the
you're
Democratic
in a catch-22 here,
primary.
Jeremy.
That's
Lose or
crazy.
lease town game. You're paying $50. Sorry.
No, I'll just vote for the far left candidate. I mean, that's what we'll do, right? If Stephen A. is the Democratic nominee, the Democratic Party doesn't exist anymore. No? We're all just cool with that? Guy who's always said, all I care about is money, and he's just going to be there. All right, that's fine. I'll shut up.
Very
A
presidential.
little something on it.
There we go.
What are you, the Salt Bay? What are you doing there? You want to?
I'm sprinkling a little something on
Sprinkle,
it.
Dan. A little sprinkle.
I'm just trying to win some money. All right.
a value proposition.
Yeah.
You can't have your moralities around my value propositions. It's just gambling
I can't just be both.
with our freedom and our democracy.
We'll be fine.
But if you lose it, you might as well win money, right? You'd probably lose that too if you lose the free.
Yeah, but it's about the
Figure that out once we get there.
Yeah, but you win on a long shot. I mean, how does that feel?
It's something to brag about. It's something to brag about for the rest of your life. Hey, I bet
sprinkled a
this
little bit.
and, I saw.
I took it early.
Yeah, that's right. And I took it early.
Nobody likes the person who gives the morning routine, right? That's not something that that's something that everyone's going to respond. I don't want to watch your morning routine on social media.
Depends how interesting it is.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what this is.
Zero morning routine?
Yes, I don't know what this is.
Roy is suffering at the moment. We'll get to that in a second. Roy is, and this is a good character, actually. I would like to develop this character with Roy. Roy feels like this is well beyond the sad report that Chris Cody is producing. The slow report, excuse me, not the sad report.
That's a different
That's
report.
mine.
Yeah.
That's,
That's also
mine.
fine.
That's the
Yours.
one I do. Yes, I'm sorry. The slow report is Chris Cody. Mine's the sad report. But Roy is feeling these days like he is the very last to know anything. That anything going on social media that is viral, that for whatever the reason it is, it's getting to him last. He feels like he's arriving at things that others are talking about, and they've already talked about it.
Yeah, and as much as I'm on Twitter, or X as it's currently known right now, I've yet to see whatever this morning routine thing is. 0% knowledge of this.
I don't know what it is either.
I think it's you have an Android. It just gets to you slower. Yeah.
God damn it. It is not because I have an Android. It might be. I guess it's not in the algorithm, I guess.
Well, that's why Zaz is here telling you sprinkle a little something on Stephen A. now. That's getting to you early. Take note of this.
Yeah.
The morning routine, Billy, that you're obsessed with?
Well, so there's this morning routine video that's been going around. There's lots of morning routine videos. We do some with Nick's, kind of. That's something that we do. But there's a morning routine that's going on, and it's I don't know what this guy does, if he's like an influencer or whatever, but his day starts very, very early, and people are catching on to the fact that times are not necessarily adding up when he's doing things. Because it's playing now. I guess there's no sound on this. But it starts at 3:17 a.m. By 4:01 a.m., he's out on his balcony doing push-ups, as you know, as one does. That lasts until about 4:04 a.m. Then he sits down.
That's not a morning routine. That's a middle of the night routine.
Well, no. It starts at 3. Look, rise and grind. Early bird gets the worm. You know what I mean, Zaz? So he's
that
up
was you
there.
for 20 years, dude.
Yeah.
Well, eventually I had to take a step back, but yes.
While he's there, he then puts his face in a bowl of ice water for some reason.
That's good for you.
He puts on his running things, a $20,000 watch from what Tony says. He's there walking you through this video. Then at 6:20 a.m., he leaves his apartment. He goes into the elevator at 6:23. At 6:38, he's on the treadmill until 6:52. 7:30, he's going outside for a swim. 7:31, he's there. He takes off his shoes. And, whoa, there he goes. 7:37, he jumped. And 7:40 a.m. he landed in the pool. So he was floating in the air for about 3 minutes there. Then he goes back upstairs, takes another shower at 8:28 a.m., 8:35. He dries himself off. He now is rubbing some banana on his face for some reason.
What was that about?
Sits down. His face is back in a tub of ice. And now he's having an important meeting where I think he just said, like, give me 10,000 or something like that. And now he has someone making him breakfast, and he's eating breakfast at 9:26 a.m. And you can watch all that with sound on the social medias.
Probably would have been better or worse with sound.
Worse. That was way better.
Sure.
Billy
That
had
was
good
way
play.
Yeah,
better.
Billy killed it.
Okay.
I'm working on my play-by-play skills.
professional
it's getting better.
broadcaster.
The more I do it, the better it's getting.
The doing of the morning routine, and so Roy, you don't feel like you've missed anything, right?
For why and for what? Seriously. What is that?
Well, the sharing it or
you
having
labeling
one?
this a morning routine. This is like a man performing masculinity on the internet for other people to consume. This isn't like, oh, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm washing my face and then I'm going to work.
I think that's supposed to be motivational. Like, you're supposed to see, like, how
the
to
grind set.
rise and grind. And you see how much, like, oh, wow, while I'm sleeping, this guy's doing push-ups on his balcony at 4:01 a.m. for 3 minutes.
What's the point in waking up before 4 a.m.?
You could have ended the sentence at waking up.
Jeremy, can you find for me the Mark Wahlberg routine where I would imagine
will.
this is where this started because he's famously someone who gets up at 2:30 in the morning because you want to rise faster and grind harder
You're
than the
so
person.
cool. You wake up before anyone. You're accomplishing so much.
2:30 a.m. Wake up. 2:45 a.m. Prayer time. 3:15 a.m. Breakfast. 3:40 to 5:15 a.m. Workout. 5:30 a.m. Post-workout meal. 6 a.m. Shower. 7:30 a.m. Golf. So I don't an hour
No
and a half
one's
long
impressed.
shower.
No one's impressed.
8 a.m. snack. 9:30 a.m. cryo chamber recovery. 10:30 a.m. snack. 11 a.m. family time /meeting/work calls. 1 p.m. lunch. 2 p.m. meeting/work calls. 3 p.m. pick up kids at school. 3:30 p.m. snack.
Is he
4
golfing in the
p.m.
dark?
workout number 2. 5 p.m. shower. 5:30 p.m. dinner/family time. 7:30 p.m. bedtime because his life sucks.
I'm sorry. You're going to sleep at 7:30. You're right. Your life sucks. You're going to sleep at 7:30. What are you doing?
I couldn't agree with you more.
7:30.
Who wants to do that?
I mean, and he's like a star. He's got lots of money. He's going to bed at 7:30. Waking up at 2:30. Get over yourself. No one cares. Like, is there anyone who you say I wake up at 2:30 in the morning? Like, wow, it's awesome.
I wake up at 2:30 in the morning every morning, by the way.
I do think there are people that are impressed by a military lifestyle of discipline. Yes. I'm not saying that I am one of them, but I don't think that Mark Wahlberg is showing that to people because he doesn't think they're going to be impressed.
But military guys don't wake up at 2:30. They wake up at 0600 hours. You know what that means? That's
Exactly
6
right.
a.m. That's 6 a.m. That's military time. 0600. Don't want to confuse anyone. Inclusive show.
Tony, what do you have for us?
Dano, I'm glad you asked. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the. Is that a fine there?
No, it was a video of someone just sent me of Willow sleeping out there on the couch.
Just making sure. We've got a bracket update, Dano, and today's bracket update is brought to you by the Toasted Bracket by Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's is sponsoring the Toasted Bracket. They're finally here, and they're finally hot. Those toasted sandwiches, by the way, very exciting. Try our new toasted sandwiches at Jimmy John's. Order one today. Dan, it's been a very chalky bracket, right? If you look in the Midwest region, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of ones, a lot of twos, except the two that I picked, which of course was St. John's. I had them in the Final Four. I had them beating Florida in a very exciting, run for the Johnnies. Then they continued to go for, what did they go? 4 for 41 on threes.
Well, combined.
In the game.
Combined.
I mean, look at how cute that is. Come on. Yeah. I could not click play on that.
Look at her.
Shouldn't be here in the office. Zaz, do you agree with that?
Whoa.
That the dog shouldn't be in the office?
Yeah.
Dog ain't bothering anybody.
Yeah.
It's bothering somebody.
I was at a
apparently.
brewery yesterday, and there was a dog right next to me, at the table right next to me.
Drinking
like-
beer.
Sitting in the chair?
Right, like next to my chair, lying down right up against me.
Yeah,
But
get
I was
outta
like, you're not bothering anybody, whatever.
She's so cute.
How do you feel? So you're okay with dogs
I
at
am
work?
okay with it.
This is the first time hearing that Tony's not okay.
No, I'm
with it.
aligned with Amin on the fact that the dog needs to be
He's doing
somewhere
a bit,
else while
Dan.
we're doing the show.
Nah, as
here.
long as the dog's not bothering anybody, I have no problem.
Anyways, we've got number one still alive across the board. I got Duke winning it all, so I'm still in good graces there when it comes to the national championship.
Boring place.
Why?
That just wouldn't be on the top 10 places to visit. We've gone over that.
Oh, that's right.
I don't want to hear about the dog being an emotional support animal, though. Like, that's garbage. Like, everybody has a dog to emotionally support you. You have a dog because having the dog makes you feel good, all right? That's everyone. So the fact that you could bring your dog anywhere because it's an emotional support animal, that's bull.
I agree. I also have Michigan State in the Final Four, so the Sparties are looking good, Dano. That's the Toasted Bracket update brought to you by Jimmy John's.
Thank you. Zaslow, how do you feel about Florida being a favorite as someone who is a proud Gator? And the best Florida run there's been was Joakim Noah
06-07,
and Horford and Billy Donovan. This is the best team since then, is it not?
Yeah, and by the way, we had the Cooper Flag conversation earlier. All those guys were projected lottery picks, and they all came back the very next year. Like, that's all of them. Horford, Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, they all came back the next year.
Jeremy, what are you rolling your eyes out?
I wasn't rolling my eyes as much as it was a different time, right? Like, and those guys were not all freshmen. It wasn't the time of one and done. It was a different time in college basketball where those players all going back was ultimately good for them. And look, all the power to Cooper Flag if that's what he decides to do. If all of those lottery picks at Duke maybe win a championship and say, let's go win another one, maybe that happens. We were talking about an individual player where I'm expecting that his teammates are going to leave too. But if you tell me that some Duke booster, swoops in and is willing to give however many millions to all of those lottery picks to stick around, maybe it happens. But you're right. UF is like that was the ultimate example of the perfect college basketball
It was
team.
a different time, but doesn't that make it even more shocking that those guys all stayed?
Yeah, passing up on the money. You're right.
Yeah. And Joakim Noah, there was talk he was going to be the number 1 pick after 2006. He stayed. He ended up going like number 9 or whatever it was.
Well, that would be my test case if I was trying to make the argument against you guys. As you correctly assembled, so much more money is the thing. If you went and asked Joakim Noah and Al Horford now and Corey Brewer now with whatever money they made, hey, that second year that you guys got together where you got to do it again, what was that worth? What would you pay for to have that year back? I think in the case of those three, it's an extraordinary amount of money. All their teammates might not have that money, though, and they might have a different answer.
Yeah, I think they certainly liked it because they gave up the year and they accomplished exactly what they set out to do. Like, it worked out exactly the way that they wanted it to.
Well, because they were better than everybody. This team's supposed to be better than everybody except for Duke. Like, it's the best offense in the sport in 10 years when people aren't – I mean, you can say people are good at offense, but this is – by percentage, this is inefficient basketball. This is crude basketball. It's not even that you're never – the cost of what we're talking about in making college what we've made it is that Florida team will never exist again. Like, it's not even a thing that's possible. Even if Phil Knight decides he wants to make Oregon something bigger, the pros are always going to be the calling. That's dead. It's dead forever. And a portion of college basketball gets killed with it because Cooper Flag is the name that you know, but the Duke team of Zion Williamson, where Zion was the third best recruit, that's not going to play together for 3 years the way it would have at UNLV once upon a time.
It's also dead because we just generally have more of that get that bag mentality, right, in America than we did, 18 years ago, right?
It was still pretty shocking back then.
Yeah, it was surprising, but it'd be way more surprising now because the kids that are playing college basketball right now were being born around then. And the way that we've shifted our conversation about individually going and getting the bag, no matter what that takes, is different than it was then. So you can motivate, hey, you guys just won a championship. There's this collective bond over whatever. I mean, you see it in the
I think it's a better chance if you lose the championship. Like, if Cooper Flag and Duke win this year, I don't think you even consider staying. I think if they fall short, it's like, I came here to win a championship. I'm going to stay another year.
There is no consideration anymore, right? This isn't even a conversation anymore, even though you can stay in college and get millions of dollars. It ceased being a conversation. Everyone agrees that it's dumb to go back.
Someone's going to do it. I don't think it's going to be Cooper Flag. Someone's going to do it.
And like at Duke this year?
No. I don't think it's going to be this year.
Okay.
But someone's going to do it one day where, wow, I make enough money here. I'm not trying to play for the Wizards.
That is a bold prediction that we'll never be able to call you on.
I'm marking it down.
It's the height of winter, but it's also a great time to gather with friends and enjoy some Miller Lite. That's right, Miller Lite has the taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just that beautiful white can and a great tasting beer for people like you and me who love the taste of beer. Because Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, with simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color that we all know and love. And here's the most important part for me. I mean, I like all the things, but 96 calories and just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, Miller Time is always a good time. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
I saw some early stuff on Juju's new alley-oop show. We're going to debut tomorrow. We're going to show you some of what it is that Juju's doing on the interwebs around basketball coverage. He has been, Willow. What's Willow doing? What does Willow want?
Seems like she's bothering somebody.
Whoa, Billy, what's happening? What are you eating that Willow wants?
Food, lunch. So I got arroz con pollo with some black beans here.
So anyway, excuse me for doing that. I was distracted by Willow. Tony, I don't know what's happening with Tony there. Tony, this is the first I'm hearing of any of this.
Bothering people in the office. You said you never seen anybody bothered.
I mean, I like Willow. Everyone here likes Willow.
No, I like her. I like her at Jess's house. She's great there, by the way. I've been to Jess's house, and the dog's been great, and we've been hanging out and doing things.
I'll remember this.
Not in the office.
Don't worry.
Juju,
your brother was at the office last week doing
Again,
nothing.
I didn't approve of that. I don't know what happened there. I
did not meet your brother. I didn't see your brother. I don't know why your brother
You probably
was
did,
in
and
the
you
office.
just thought it was Tony.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
They're just the same
They
person.
sound exactly the same. He speaks with the same vocal patterns and level of arrogance.
It's like Ozzy and Jose Canseco, one of the great
You could
sports.
trade off. The problem is my brother's like 60 pounds lighter than I am. That's the only difference.
Better looking, too.
Juju, I'm sorry to interrupt you. And as I was saying, I'm very much looking forward to watching yet more. I should say debut of his show here because the Alley Oop show is not. He's been doing it during the postseason and been doing professional basketball coverage for us for a while. Nice to see you, sir. Do you have any opinions on any of the subject matter that we had today?
Yes, sir. I appreciate the warm welcome. You feel me? Alley-oop show. You know what I mean? A little snippet show. We did a little quick pilot with my sister, Trista Crick, who could be seen on It Is What It Is, and my dog, Josh Smith, Stephen A. Smith, little nephew, who's taking the internet by storm right now. My dog's from, from a couple of years right now. So I appreciate that. And check it out tomorrow when we put it up. And it's good to see my brother, Johnny Z, back in the studio today. You feel me?
Good to see you.
The house. I put the Florida up for
Yes.
you and my dog, Ethan Badowski. You dig me? I also
Yes.
brought something for you as well, for you to make sure.
That's not for me.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Oh, a Celtics
get that in your
2024
Rolodex.
World
Nope.
Championship
I'm
banner.
not out of toilet paper.
Oh, no. No.
Well, yeah, I want to chime in on the comment y'all was talking about Cooper Flagg, and I agree with Billy. Like, if Cooper Flagg draft dodges this year, it's a surprise. The Wizards are going to be waiting for him with open arms next year. So no matter what you do, you can stay an extra year and play with your Achilles tendon if you want to. And like Jess said, Duke is not a walk in the ballpark. You got to wake up and do your job at Duke. So I agree with y'all. You mean on both sides of that.
I'd like a camera on Cooper Flagg when the draft lottery is done the second year, when he skips the first year because it was the Wizards, and then the Wizards come up again the second year. It's just a camera on his home. It's just shit.
Hell yeah. And they said the same thing about Cade Cunningham when he got drafted by the Pistons. And you see that franchise has been turned around slowly but surely. I think Tony said it as well earlier. Those players believe in themselves to be that person who's going to change that organization around. So I definitely feel both sides of the argument, as well as I think that's a big component of why college basketball rivalries aren't what they used to be anymore. You feel me? Like, imagine Dalton Connect on this Tennessee team. Like, it'll be crazy. Imagine Jason Tatum playing with Zion. I feel like that's what we got back in the days. And them one and done scenarios, although lucrative, have robbed us of that great college basketball rivalry.
I think that's one of the many reasons why a lot of fans are turning to women's college basketball, because you have more continuity year to year and you know who the stars are. You can watch someone like Caitlin Clark or Juju Watkins play 2, 3, 4 years for the same school, and you can watch someone like Hannah Hidalgo go from a freshman averaging 18 points a game or whatever to sophomore averaging 24 points a game, and then she's going to be back next year hopefully with the same team.
Right. All right. And those rules for the women, the ladies, you got to stay like 3 years or either be 22 years old. We might need to meet halfway somewhere with that with the men, because a lot of these ladies get to develop. And I saw a video of Haley Van Lith yesterday after winning the game, just describing her testimony. Like, man, some of her first years, although exciting and flashy, she was super duper depressed and was going through a lot of mental hurdles. And so now that she's with TCU, it has shown her and gave her a little plateau of enlightenment. So I think that the growth of these college kids, you know what I mean? It's something to be studied for like she say, staying a couple of extra years to develop yourself instead of going straight into the professionalism. But I understand the dough.
What is going on with our Tournament of Sound? Was it widely rejected? Was it poo-pooed?
I mean, it wasn't poo-pooed. It was just, a little smell on it. So I made my own top 5 list of sounds that you guys forgot.
Okay.
You dig me? OLI, the PlayStation 2 load screen. Stuff starting up in a little galaxy. OLI as well. Sega. As soon as you open the Sega, turn it on. You dig it. Number 5, the Netflix opener. Ta-dong. You feel me? I think Jessica said this one earlier. Number 4 might bring bang.
Double bang.
Chef's kiss. Also, this is for the old heads. Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat, uppercut, toasty. You love to hear it. You dig it. And number 2, whenever you outside and you in a little great little night spot or a club or a day party, and you hear dum 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 dum, and Juvenile back there.
Cash, yeah.
You know it's about to get live. You feel me? And the number 1 sound in the impossible universe that we live in is the dum 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 from Price is Right. Loser game show sound.
Yes.
For Sizzle.
That I've got it here. There you go. Took me a minute. I'm sorry. Joker of the day. Do we have a Joker of the day today? Anyone in here? Anyone outside of here?
Yes, sir. And I think my dog Johnny Z can back me up on this one, dog. Bob Hurley, what are you doing? Take your L and walk off the screen.
Dan.
Crocodile galore. No gator tears, just crocodile tears. What you think, Johnny Z?
Yeah, well, first of all, Dan Hurley. Let's not confuse anyone that Bobby
Friends call
did
him
something.
Bob, yeah.
Dan Hurley.
His
And yes,
friends call him
100. I can't wrap my head around the idea that the game ended. They were national champion back to back, and the first thing that goes through his mind is, I got to find the Baylor players, and I got to tell them, I hope they don't get screwed the way that we just did.
Just warn them. Right? Warn them about what's out there.
I got to look out for those kids in Baylor.
Also, earlier you said Robert De Niro was on a movie on Netflix. It was an actual TV show. Neither here nor there, but it's called 0 Day, and it wasn't necessarily awesome. But I understand the sentiment. You feel me?
I feel you.
And let's get to the polls. The first poll of the day was, can Santa be 5'5"? 67% of the audience says no, he cannot. Dang. Salute to my brother Danny Benitez, though, in the back, doing a great job as always.
Where did we arrive on is the cutting off point on over-under for how short you're willing for your Santa to be? 5'7", still too short, isn't it?
Too short.
5'10"?
It's got to be 6, man.
Tim Conway, though, in the cartoon.
Yeah, you got to be big enough to look down at the elves, or however tall they are, just a couple of inches. Mm-hmm. In the last poll, did Ed Asner play bigger than 5'7"? 84% of the audience says yes, he did.
Oh, Lou Grant.
Ed Asner Draymond Green.
So asinine. An Ed Asner reference. Thank you, Juju. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Johnny Z.
Yeah, the Heat won 3 of those. Celtics only 2 since their existence.